Hello everybody, it's Idil from Turkey from Association of Women with Disabilities. I'm so sad that I'm not together with you this time in Ljubljana, but because of my health problems, actually my doctor didn't allow me to come there. But I'm wishing you a very fruitful meeting and sending my warm wishes from Istanbul. And also sorry for the mess behind me. Okay, through this video, I actually would like to make a quick presentation about current situation on women with disabilities, on violence against women with disabilities in Turkey. So first of all, I would like to give some information about my association, and then give I'm gonna share some results that we obtained at the end of our recent research. Our NGO is a nationally recognized NGO in Turkey. We are based in Ankara. We're an advocacy-based organization, so we are run by women with disabilities for women with disabilities. Actually, since the beginning of our establishment, actually, we're going to organize seminars on the subjects of discrimination, women's rights, disability rights, violence against women with disabilities, and possible protection mechanism. So for these seminars, actually, we're going to different cities of Turkey. We're trying to reach the women with disabilities in their locals and trying to push them to demand their rights. So as I told you, we are an advocacy-based organization, so because of this reason, monitoring and reporting activities are really so important. Violence against women with disability is one of our regular monitoring activities in the recent in the last 3 years actually. If I give you some information about our recent research, I would like to first of all give some information about the source of our information. In this research, we actually use different sources of information. First of all, we of course review the literature. We scan the media, news on newspapers and also TV channels. They're really important source for our research. We also cooperate with the governments. We cooperate with parliamentarians to ask governmental questions in the parliamentary. We also ask written questions to the governmental bodies. This was another source. And the last thing is that we design a kind of survey, and we put the survey on our website to get the personal notifications of people with disabilities. But this was not a good idea because of the confidentiality issues and trust issues. People, they don't want to share their experiences through the survey, but we got some important cases as well through that way. So when we look at the results, actually the first thing is that the data issue. Segregated data was really problematic issue in Turkey. When we ask the questions about the number of cases, violence cases against women with disabilities, to police, for example, they're generally giving some general answers, and they're giving woman-related data, not specifically the data of women with disabilities. So this was really problematic because in the CRPD and also general comment of the CRPD, general comment number 3, it's also saying that sensitive, gender sensitive and disability sensitive data, they're really so important. So the governments should collect data according to gender-based and disability-based issues, and then analyze this data and implement their implementations. And they have to provide services according to results of this sensitive data, but this has not happened at the moment in Turkey right now. Another issue, the hotlines. Hotlines are really important for calling police, ambulance, especially in the crisis moment, but there are many of them, they are not accessible, especially for women with disability, for women with intellectual disabilities, and women with hearing disabilities. For deaf people, definitely they are not accessible. There are some projects, they're organizing some kind of sign language services to reach that hotlines, but they are all project based. So because of this reason, when the duration of project is done, the service is gone. So this is really problematic. We're advocating for the stability of that kind of services. Another one, the problematic issue is shelters. Shelters, there are many shelters in Turkey, all of them organized by family and social, by the Ministry of Family and Social Policy, but they are not accepting women with disabilities. I mean, when you apply to be placed in shelters as a woman with disabilities, you are placed in rehabilitation centers, not shelters. But shelters are hidden places. If you are escaping from your perpetrators, it's really important to be hide in a hidden place. But rehabilitation centers are openly public places. So if you are placed in there, you can be re-victimized by your perpetrators, and you can easily be found by the people who are searching for you. So this is another problematic issue. When we ask the reason of this implementation to the government is saying that actually they don't have, they're doing like that because they don't have enough number of enough number of qualified staff who can work with women with disabilities. But we are asking the questions other way around, and we are saying that do you have any qualified staff in rehabilitation centers to work with women who face with violence? And they are saying no. I mean, this is really ridiculous, but the answer is this. Of course, we are advocating for this, and this is making you, I mean, this kind of placement is making you really open to re-victimizations of your perpetrators, or the residents of your of the rehabilitation centers, or the staff of that center as well. Another thing is that if we are talking about shelters and rehabilitation centers, the other thing is that institutions, closed institutions. There are so many institutions that women with disabilities are living there, especially if you don't have any family members, and if you are alone, you are placed in this centers, rehabilitation centers, nursing rooms, nursing homes, rest homes for elderly people, and boarding schools as well. I mean, these are not open to public monitoring. So according to, as you know, that's Article 33 of the CRPD, I mean, the governmental bodies should be cooperate with NGOs for the open monitoring of the closed institutions. But right now, these institutions are really so closed, and they're not open to public monitoring, and governmental monitoring is really limited, and generally resulted for the benefit of the authorities of the institution, not for the benefit of the residents. So this is another problem. Another thing is that domestic violence. Domestic violence is really problematic issue in Turkey, both for disabled and non-disabled women. But for disabled ones, it's really problematic, because generally the concept of violence is really problematic for many disabled women if it's coming from their family members. In domestic, if we are talking about domestic violence, this means that the violence is coming from family members. Generally, when we talk to women with disabilities, we can see that generally they are normalizing this violence, and they're saying that, okay, this is very normal, because sometimes I'm having really in bad mood and I'm doing stupid things, so because of this reason my mother or my sister just beaten me. Oh, this is really normal reaction. And that kind of understanding of violence is really problematic, because it's not that easy for us, for the people who are outside of the family. It's not that easy to recognize the disabled and violence cases and recording them. So normalization and rationalization of this violence is very common for the cases of this domestic violence. And for the last thing, I can say that fighting against impunity is really problematic issue, because I mean, many women with disabilities. This is a very big issue for women. Violence against women issues in Turkey, not specifically women with disabilities, because women are going to court, but court is not giving any punishment to the perpetrators, to the to these people. But this is really problematic for women with disabilities as well. If these people, these perpetrators, they don't get any punishment from the court, they're generally going back to their natural environment. They're going back to their crime scene again, and women with disabilities are re-victimized again and again by these people. So this is a very problematic issue. So for the for court cases and police case, to be able to reach police, actually, the notifications of third parties are really important. Who are these third parties? Third parties are the people who are not from the family, but who are close to the family. This can be teachers, neighbors, friends. The notifications of these people are really so important, especially if we are talking about people, women with intellectual disabilities and women with hearing disabilities. Their possibilities, their opportunities to reach police or other kind of help organizations, it's not that easy. So because of this reason, notifications of third people are really important. But impunity is also demotivating these people to go to police and to go to court, because they are afraid of attack of the perpetrators as well. So this is another issue that we have to give importance, and to take important legal measurements for further cases. So I can say that these are all results that I can summarize in this presentation. If you have any further questions, please reach me through my email. My email address is my first name and second name, Idil Seda, IDILSEDA @yahoo.com. I'm also in a RiseWise group, RiseWise email group. You can easily reach me through that. Sending a message through this group as well. So wishing you a very fruitful meeting, as I told you before, and sending my all warm wishes. Thank you again for listening to me. Bye bye.